Hello, and welcome to another very special and fully live version of Hacking with Friends. My name is Kody Kinsey. I am a security researcher at Varonis, and this is Michael, a production assistant and sometimes internet cryptozoologist who's here to answer questions with me on the stream today. So we are fully live today, meaning if you have a great question, feel free to shout it out in the chat. And we're also going to be going back through the YouTube channel. So we've received a lot of really great questions on some of our older videos and some of the more recent ones that we've done. So if you've left a question, then we've gone back through and tried to find the best ones so we can answer them on the stream today. So hello to everyone who's here. I'm going to actually open the chat so I can see what's going on.
I already saw one amazing question, Kody. And
Oh,
that
really?
is, what are you going to do with those hundreds of D1 minis that you bought?
Oh, yeah. So on Singles Day 11/11, I treated myself to a little gift. And these always take quite some time to deliver. So I was actually shocked that yesterday, I think it was, I got like 200 D1 minis in the mail. So I'm very excited about this. Me and Stefan have been working on all sorts of improvements to the Wi-Fi deauthor, including being able to do fox hunting. So you'll actually be able to like track down the source of a signal using the Wi-Fi deauthor, which loads perfectly well on the D1 Mini. So I'm thinking about doing some workshops where we give away a D1 Mini every time someone signs up and just get to, have some more community than just releasing, like one of our Udemy classes, because I really enjoy just getting feedback and like talking to people and also just messing around with hardware. So yeah, I think that we're probably going to do another workshop at some point with all those D1 Minis, because obviously I'm not a dragon. I don't just like lie down on a bed of D1 Minis at night and just like roll around in them.
The truth reveals itself.
More than once. Because after that, I have no use for like that many, except to, for example, like run projects that use every single channel of the Wi-Fi spectrum, which is something that I'm working on. So,
So we have another great question from LinkedIn, and that is, how do hackers make money?
Oh, well, okay. That's a great question. It depends on if you are a white hat or a black hat hacker. So if you're a black hat hacker, you can make money in tons of different illegal ways. Basically just like get rid of all the ethics and think of ways you can make money. It could be buying stolen credit card data and running it on like a rented Wi-Fi connection. It could be like phishing people and breaking into their stuff while being paid by someone to do so. Like or it could be ransomware or something like that. Now, on the flip side, how do we make money? None of those things. We make money by teaching people about cybersecurity, and also we make money by identifying problems in software or hardware that allow people to break in and do bad stuff. So by us being there to let people know that there's a problem, hopefully if they listen to us, it allows the people who make all the stuff that we use to make that stuff better. So those are the two primary ways that hackers make money, but within that, there's all sorts of other things. I'm at Varonis in the marketing department. So technically, a lot of what I do is outreach to the community and basically making sure that there's good, free, high quality resources available. That's not a very common job in cybersecurity, but it's there. So when you think about cybersecurity, it's not all practicing cybersecurity. There's also stuff in sales, there's stuff in marketing, there's all sorts of things around the industry. So it really needs a lot of people who are passionate about cybersecurity in general and why it's important and have a wide variety of skills.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot of people on the ethical side that do bug bounties. That's a very popular way to kind of, because you can get started at any level, and there's a lot of learning you can do there, and then you can really maximize the amount of money you're making that way.
Oh, and also, I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. Kevin, Zam, Victor, and everyone that I saw chatting before. I really like that you guys are kind of like talking to each other, networking, and like answering questions. It's really great to have like a little bit of a community here and be able to talk to some of you. And Zam, hopefully you will be receiving your prize from the last giveaway that we did very soon. So hopefully you enjoyed that.
Okay, to some of the questions we had on previous videos. Do you guys code or hack?
Both. So actually that's a really good question, because you can get into hacking just by using tools like Metasploit, where like you're not a programmer, you're just learning the attack flow. Maybe you need to know a little bit about IT, but in general, like you're not actually doing programming. And then there's actually being able to like build an OSINT tool that like scrapes data, like which I also do. So I just went back to community college for like 2 years in order to learn how to do some basic Python programming and basic C++ programming, as well as some electronics. And that's really all I needed to get into the programming side of things. So if you are wanting to get into hacking and you don't have those programming skills, it's okay. Again, especially if you have like networking skills or something like that already.
Yeah, I would say if you really want to get into like bug bounties and stuff, though.
Oh my god, I love this question. Am I the owner of Varonis? I wish. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, if you want to get into bug bounties and stuff, and that's where you need to know more of the coding stuff to I mean, running some scripts will be helpful, but for me personally, I enjoy coding more. Like, I get more reward out of like thinking of a problem and figuring out how to write my own code to solve it than I do like using the same tool on 50 different websites. So yeah.
Yeah. But there's definitely circumstances where like you do not want to build your own tool. You just want to like, work.
Don't
with something that's
reinvent
already
the
out there.
wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Wow, you guys are very helpful. I make games and some other scripting with Lua and C++. Lua.
Yeah.
And C++. Could we do videos on either of those? I've tried C++, and there's a reason I switched to Python, because for me, Python is much more intuitive. I understand that like C++ is pretty powerful.
So when you go,
I don't like it.
Yeah. So when you go to school for programming, very often they'll make you learn something more like basic or like lower. Like they'll make you learn like a compiled language, and then they'll let you learn an interpreted language, just so that you know both. If you're going in for computer science, so I would love to do more stuff on compiled languages. We do a lot of stuff on interpreted languages because it's great for beginners, and we have a lot of beginners. But to be honest with you, I struggle with C++ because it's much more unforgiving and discouraging. I have ADD. So if I have something like basically telling me I'm terrible at this like over and over and over, I'm going to find something else to do. Whereas Python, I can make tons of mistakes and my code still works for some reason, and I have to work backwards later to figure out how to fix all the stuff that I got wrong, but still manage to get my proof of concept working. So the difference between them means that I typically like to demonstrate stuff in Python. But yeah.
Yeah, if y'all are having problems with the frame rate, let me know in the comments, because I was trying something new on this one.
Yeah, if anybody's we're trying to stream.
Yeah, I saw one or
quality.
two people. Yeah, so we're trying to stream in higher definition today. So if that doesn't go super well, then for the main live streams, I'm going to switch back to the lower resolution that we've been doing. But yeah, so that was just a side thing.
And also, hi, Jamie.
Okay, yeah, so this question was about our pfSense video that we did. Essentially, some people will have problems if you're not familiar with networking. So like I said, pfSense, great to learn networking, but there is a steep learning curve. So be sure that your internet access, whether that be from a modem or if you're going to do like a subnet on a larger network, your internet comes in and is going into your WAN, and then you have another port that you designate for your LAN, which is your local network, and then that LAN needs to go into a switch or a managed switch or some other routing device. So
we're getting more feedback that like the video is glitching out a little bit.
Yeah.
So we might need to switch to like a slightly lower resolution.
If I do that, I'm not 100% certain that it won't stop the stream.
Okay, then I guess we'll deal with it. But I guess our audio is fine.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, okay. So, sorry if we're glitching out a little bit. Again, we're trying new things.
Do you want me to do it? I'll do it. Okay, if we drop out, we'll be right back. Okay. I think we're still good.
All right. So what's the next question?
The next question, if you can run Tails OS from an M2 drive. So basically it's asking about making your own USB drive with an M.2. Would that be faster? Is there a reason you might want to do that?
Do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so typically you can make your own USB drive with an M.2. It's great. You have a lot of storage space on there, and it will be somewhat faster, but it's not going to be like dramatically faster than any other USB drive because they're all using like similar speeds. You could talk about like NVMe drives and stuff like that, but yes, it's a good option for a OS if you're going to be using it frequently and then storing stuff to that made USB drive, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. All right, shall we do the next question?
Yep. Okay. Using basically the Ponagachi versus the Flipper. Which one do you like better? Why?
So I'm obviously way more excited about Flipper. It has so much stuff built into it. It looks so cool. And so last night we decided that I was going to go into the dark hole that is my Twitter messages from people that I don't follow. And I have to explain that I get on average 5 direct messages every day on Twitter that I just like don't have time to read. And over time, that has built up into a tsunami of messages that I have to chip away at like bit by bit. So last night I was going through that tsunami of messages, and most of them were either just like a very small technical problem that someone could just Google, or something super crazy. And then finally I got to like one of the core people from Flipper months ago being like, hey, do you want one of these things? It's like, we love your show, like the stream is great, like we would love you to have one. I'm like, oh my god, like
we missed out on that because you ignored your DMs.
Because I didn't go through my DMs. So like last night I had to go through probably 300 DMs and like read through them and be like, what is this? Because all like most of them are like a tsunami of text. It's like this long. So I'm like, what is going on? And by the time I like get halfway through, I've already wasted like a minute. So it took forever, you guys. But when I found this, I was like, okay, we have to cover Flipper.
Yeah, please tell me you responded.
Yeah, of course I did. With apologies. So hopefully we can get our hands on the Flipper prototype and be able to show you guys how it works, because just looking at what it promises, if it can do half of that, I will be excited and think that it's very cool.
So Zam, as a continuation of that, how many people ask you to hack their girlfriend's Instagram?
This
like
is
half, probably.
So no, not quite. So I haven't gone into my DMs in quite a long time because honestly, it gives me tremendous anxiety. But I ventured in last night and I got kind of an interesting picture into the demographic of people who are like messaging me. Overwhelmingly, like 80%, it is like a very nice, very polite message. And then, by the way, and then a technical problem that I couldn't possibly solve. Like, they don't tell me, they're just like, I have an error, and then they dump like a full page of error log, but I don't know what computer they're using or what program they're trying to run or literally anything about the problem. So most of my direct messages are just like error logs, or just like literally like a blurry cell phone picture of an error on someone's computer with no context. Or with so much context that it takes me 10 minutes to read. And then the most frustrating part is the number one answer is sudo.
Oh my god, I love that. And I bet like the majority of those tools you're not even the author of either.
No, I'm never. I am the author of like 3 OSINT tools and like a couple other like small projects. And like none of these requests were actually about something I have written. It was always about someone else's project that I just happened to like teach people how to use on a basic level. And they're like, hi, I have a completely different idea in mind. It has nothing to do with what you showed, but I'm running into an error. And I'm like, what? So yeah, it was really difficult to go through and find. I also found some really great messages from people that I still have to respond to, asking for advice on careers and how to get started with stuff. And that's why I hope that some of you guys can show up in the stream so I can answer it while I'm not working, because delving through these messages sometimes is a little overwhelming.
No, we read Twitch chat. We have a platform that combines all the chats. There's just a lot of questions we get, so sorry if we don't get to your questions. But yeah. So where did you learn networking, or where would you recommend people to go to learn networking?
Take a, it doesn't need to be vendor specific. I took a Cisco routing and switching class, and I found it to be incredibly educational. Like, I learned more about the way the internet works from that class than from all of my work prior to that. I feel like it made me very, very basic, but at least like somewhat understanding network engineer. Like I can understand like why something wouldn't be working, or like what the basic concepts of networking are, and I can set up like a network that's not too complicated but has like basic services. And that knowledge, I think, was probably the most important thing to make me like a tech person, because everything I knew prior to that didn't really stand up as soon as the network stopped working. And like knowing how to fix that, diagnose it, or do a workaround was probably the most useful thing I could have learned. So if you can find like a community college class with a good teacher, that's really important, because this is dry, boring stuff. And if the person that like is teaching it doesn't like the subject,
they need to be passionate.
You will not want to be there. But I found a guy who was just like loved this stuff and basically went an hour over every class, and every single student was too scared to leave because the guy was just so into it, and he would just go through and through and through, and like everything made sense, and like he had great like connection with the subject. If you find someone like that, then you will understand the way the internet works and the way that devices connect to each other, and be able to be very effective when it comes to hacking networks or defending networks.
Okay, so another question we got was regarding DEF CON, and I'm going to broaden this to conferences in general. Are they good for beginners? So first thing I will recommend is go back on our channel and look at some of our previous live streams. We have 2 in regards to conferences. One looking at the bigger cons like DEF CON, ShmooCon, stuff like that, and then a second one looking at the smaller like local conferences. So check those out. Short answer, what would you say? I'd say
conferences
yes.
are essential. They allow you to connect with experts in a context that's very friendly and open. So if you want to just walk up to the company of your dreams and ask like the lowest paid person there, like what it's like to work there, like and try to get them to be honest with you, like you can find out that maybe that's not where you want to go, or maybe you make a connection and find out that yes, this is exactly where you want to go. Like that's where you can make connections to transition from being a hobbyist into a professional. At least that's what I did.
And got me a job.
Yep, and I know also there one of our other writers also is currently working a great job in Seattle because of someone that they met through a conference. So you know, it really pays to put yourself out there and be able to figure out like, are these the kind of people you want to spend time with at work all the time? Because if they're not, then there's plenty of other niches within cybersecurity that you can go into. And also, I want to answer some questions from the chat just very briefly. One question is, can you build a microcontroller with a GPS device? Yes, you should take a look at Alex Lin. He's the last guest that we had on the stream. Take a look at his GitHub. He has a like a GPS tracker device where it's just a ESP8266 and a GPS module combined in order to log data, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then also, there was another question if we have anything for Mac OS. I would just say Patrick Wardle's website, objectivec.com, S-E-E, whatever.
Yeah.
Patrick Wardle makes excellent Mac-based security tools, and I use a lot of them myself.
Yeah, so 2 things. For the viewers, I don't see any more complaints about the stream quality, so hopefully everything's good. If it's not, let me know. And then for Kody, your German stickers on your laptop, what are they? Why do you have them?
Yes. So one of my favorite hackers that I've been working with is from Germany, and I made a point of going out and showing him up that it's not that hard to come and visit another country. It was actually extremely hard, but I managed to make it to a conference in Germany, which was really exciting, Computer Chaos Congress, and I picked up a lot of fantastic, super nerdy, and quite aggressive German stickers there. I believe I have one that says no backup, no mercy. And
why?
Another one that just says, with Linux, this would not have happened. And there's a lot more too. So anytime people buy stuff from like Hacker Interchange too, we always like throw in a bunch of like really aggressive like
I think
European...
we have like 200 of like the defect ones.
Yeah, the just like defect on them. Yeah, so I found that I really enjoyed German hacker culture. Like I got to go to a hackerspace in Munich, and they just let me like teach everyone about Digisparks, like using them as like a bad USB device, and everyone was super cool. It just it was a really interesting and immersive experience, and I took a lot of stickers back from that. So
yeah, okay, so basically a person wants to get started next month learning Python. What would you do to start? The first thing I would do is download a good IDE like PyCharm. PyCharm is a very popular one by JetBrains. Download that, and then the thing I recommend is trying to find a project that you want to do, like something that excites you. It's got to be something you're really passionate about, and then go and just start. Watch some basic Python videos on YouTube. You know, some hour, 2 hour long ones, just so you can learn like what's an if statement, what are variables, you know, how do I use those, and then once you know some of those basic things, then you can start asking the the right questions to figure out how to tackle your project, use Stack Overflow, look up Python libraries, and that's a pretty good start in my mind.
Yeah, Python is easy to get started with. There's lots of different resources. I would say just find, Socratica. Go to Socratica. Like, I love Socratica. We wanted to like work with them for a while because they're so great. But when I was learning Python, so the Socratica YouTube channel is a really great way to get started. A lot of people say that lady's scary. She's not. She's great. Okay.
Ooh.
So I have a question I want to respond to, which is, weren't you working on a video with Hack5? Is that still in the works? Are you looking for gossip? Because I'm here to give it to you. Yes, we are still working with Hack5, and we are going to be releasing a new video for them very soon, actually, probably within the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. We recently completed our first video since going into exile from Los Angeles with a totally new production team. We're really excited about our first like new format video. So you guys will see one. I think I can share the title. It's Michael's IoT Nightmare. So you'll be able to see that whenever it comes out.
Basically, Kody just ruining my nice things.
Yes.
But yeah, we actually currently have 3 Hack5 videos that are filmed and not aired. And then we're going to be filming a 4th one in the near future. We have, I think, 2, maybe 3 that are already live on the Hack5 channel. If you go to their playlist and you look for the Redia playlist, that'll be all of our Hack5 videos for them that are published.
So one person was also asking if it's possible to embed an APK file in an image. Yeah, but like you can't make it like execute. Like, and also if you looked at the image, it would be like huge, and like there wouldn't be any like data in it. You like look at the image and be like, what? And like there could be data in there, but if you just like opened it in a text editor, you would see it.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head, there might be a way to like stenographize like a executable command in an image that downloads an APK when it's open, but I don't know like how that would work.
How would it run though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I've seen some stuff like that in the past, but I don't remember the details.
Like, okay, so like one example could be like, let's say that like you have like a piece of malware that downloads its instructions, like maybe the IP addresses of its C2 servers, from an image that has like some data in it that's stenographied. Like that is like perfectly within the realm of response of like things that have actually happened and like reasonability. But having like an entire APK file like seems a bit much. I mean, and also like if the point is to like hide the data, like whatever. Like yeah, technically yeah, I guess you could, but like I'm struggling to find like why that would be a good idea, unless you're just trying to like hide from something that was like really dumb at detecting things, and it was like, oh, a huge image, but it only has a small amount of relevant data and the rest is junk. Like that's normal.
Okay, what's the difference between spoofing and phishing?
Spoofing is sending false signals to create misleading readings on a network. So if I'm doing DNS spoofing, I'm sending a bunch of signals that are basically providing the wrong answer to the question of what's the IP address for this network. If I'm doing ARP spoofing, I'm sending a bunch of signals that are providing the wrong answer to what is the center of this network, where is the router. So if I was to compare that to phishing, that's where you're not only sending like misleading signals, but you're also attempting to steal something. So with phishing, I am presenting like a fake website in the hopes that you put your information into it. So it has a very specific goal. Maybe I'm presenting an email, with a malicious like file or something else. Like, I'm hoping that somebody is going to make a mistake. I'm basically taking advantage or attempting to take advantage of somebody's human error. So that would be the difference.
What is your favorite sticker on your laptop? You have 5 seconds. Pick one.
Spacesuit, of course. That's a very safe thing to say. Although I will say, if I'm not talking about Spacesuit, this one right here is from Kismet, and I think it's very cool that they sent that to me. And then the one right here, this is from a hackerspace in Norway, in Oslo specifically, and I really like the symbol. I think it's super, super cool. Of course, and then this is our sticker.
Okay. Do you have any weak points in your hacking knowledge that you're actively working on learning?
Oh, that's really good. Wow, who asked that?
Kevin Lopez.
Kevin, great question. Yes. So one thing about being as a hacker is you can either be very, very specific, where you basically need to go to you need to work on one specific field for a very long time, accrue a lot of domain knowledge, and become a specialist in that one thing. Or you can become a generalist, like myself, where there's a couple things that I'm much more knowledgeable about, but I like to have a little bit of knowledge about a broad topic of stuff. Now, right now I'm not very good at MicroPython and CircuitPython, especially CircuitPython. So I've been buying up these ESP32S boards from Adafruit so I can start learning about how to teach other people how to use CircuitPython, because I'm much stronger at Python than I am at C++, as I mentioned, and it looks like the next generation of these boards are going to be able to do Wi-Fi hacking stuff using Python on a microcontroller, which for me is a lot easier to teach. So I'm trying to wade through the Adafruit documentation and get a little bit better at that, so I can start teaching you guys how to do like creating fake networks and stuff using Python on a device like this, hopefully in collaboration with Spacioon.
Is Kody from Norway?
No, I'm not, but I wish I was, because it's beautiful there. And for whatever reason, those people are rich. Well, no, then again, I also went to Oslo, which is like one of the most expensive places to live in the world. So I got to go and teach a bunch of journalists there some OSINT techniques. And that was one of the funnest experiences of my life. Like, I got to meet a lot of really interesting people, go to a awesome hacker space there, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I talk about it a fair amount because I had such a good time, and I found the people to be absolutely just a ton of fun to work with. But no, unfortunately, I'm not from Norway. Nor am I from Germany. I am from the West Coast.
And how much social engineering knowledge do you have, and could we make a video?
That's a good question, a good request.
And
So
specifically, I think they were talking like social engineering real life tests.
Yes. So I used to work at a music venue where I would go up to someone and be like, "Excuse me, sir, you can't smoke inside." And they'd be like, "I'm not smoking weed," while hiding the joint behind them, looking me dead in the face and telling me with their entire soul that I was wrong. And over time, I had to learn how to deal with people who were just like straight up tricking you. And also detect someone who's trying to like bluff or gamble. You know, I would get people whose IDs were like obviously fake, and they'd be like, "I will call the police. I will burn your building down if you don't give me." And I was just like, okay, I know this is fake. It's like a $25 ID. So like over time, I learned a lot about social engineering just from having people constantly try to trick me or pass off bad things they were doing as normal. So yes, I know a lot about social engineering, and I know a lot about people trying to trick you. And I will admit that knowing the way that people react to you, certain types of people in a scenario, allows you to kind of pick your personality when you're going into a scenario and you need something. So we could definitely do a video on that. The hard thing is coronavirus and not making it cringy. So it's not... we can see about it. We just need to set it up correctly.
So like one of my favorite things is, people underestimate the value of like props with real life social engineering. So like having a clipboard and like a high vis vest, like you are God. You can walk in anywhere, you know.
I find that if you have a clipboard, especially if that clipboard has a logo on it of any kind, like people just assume that you are in charge of something and that whatever you have on that clipboard could be really important.
Yeah. And like the other one that's really stupid that I love is two guys carrying a ladder. Like wherever they are, they belong.
That is pretty funny.
Okay, so from Zam, what are your thoughts on the Wi-Fi iOS phone?
Give me more information about that because I don't use an iOS device. I only have a MacBook, so I don't think I've heard of that, unfortunately. Which I'm sure I'm interested in.
Is VPN can protect? Basically, can a VPN protect me from attackers?
So a VPN can protect you from someone who is maybe requesting data from your internet service provider, someone who is on your local network that might be trying to spoof or redirect your traffic, and it also can protect you from people who are logging when you go to a website, so maybe someone who's looking for your IP. So that's 3 different ways that a VPN can protect you. If none of those are what you're looking for, no, then it can't.
Along those same lines, can you build a free VPN using a Pi? To a certain degree, yes. So you can make a Pi be the VPN on your local network. So the way that essentially works is none of your devices will be protected by the VPN until they get to the router. And then from the router out to the broader internet, they would be protected by the VPN, so that really undercuts some of the value of the VPN. And also usually that relies on, you're already using like someone else's VPN. If you wanted to do your real own VPN, like you would need a remote server on, a cloud or something somewhere that's running the VPN software. I mean, you could do a VPN between two locations you physically own with two Raspberry Pis and like open VPN, but I don't think that's what you want when you say VPN.
I have a question I'm confused about. What is your wrong decision in hacking life? I'm going to assume that's just a question about what are the wrong decisions in hacking life. Don't hack your girlfriend or anyone that trusts you. Moving on.
Or a Kali on a laptop or Kali on a Raspberry Pi. I like to start with a Kali on a Raspberry Pi if you're unsure. Learn on there, and then once you've reached the limits of that, then you can, be using a thumb drive and dual boot on a laptop, or, just straight up use it on a laptop.
I really like Kali Linux on a Raspberry Pi as a standalone device. I think it's super cool. It's annoying that it doesn't have its own screen. That gets annoying very quickly, and it's annoying that if you unplug it without letting it power down, it is extremely likely to corrupt the SD card, meaning you lose everything you were doing on it. I found that to be a very, very annoying part of using Raspberry Pi. Aside from that, they're great standalone tools where if you break them, you're out like $35, so it's not as big of a deal as messing up a laptop. And I find them to be just very well suited for this kind of thing. But if you really want to get into it, then there's no substitute for having a laptop that has Kali Linux loaded on it, because it's just so much faster, and the tools that are designed to be run on a more powerful computer actually work and don't leave you sitting there waiting for 20 minutes while the thing spins.
And as for the Raspberry Pi, there's the, is it the Raspberry Pi 400 or something like that? Is the one with the integrated keyboard that's all new. I think that's a good option, just so it keeps a lot of your stuff together, minimizes some of the cabling. But as a continuation of that, why do we prefer actually running the OS on the computer versus in a VM?
I'm sorry, I was reading another question.
Okay, why don't we like VMs? Why do we like running the OS on the actual hardware?
Because VM makes trying to do Wi-Fi hacking an absolute nightmare, and trying to interface with a USB device through a VM frequently causes weird errors and problems that there's no information about on the internet, and I hate that. So if it's possible to run it just bare metal, then it's always better to do so. But I mean, if you gotta run it in a virtual machine, it's not the end of the world. You just have to accept that some things might be a little glitchy.
Oh, okay. So Zam was clarifying his previous question.
That's what I was reading.
Okay, yeah.
So apparently this was an exploit in the way that iPhones do AirDrop, and AirDrop is a fascinating protocol. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's like this weird mix of like Bluetooth and like Wi-Fi direct, where two devices are able to directly connect to each other and transfer a file at high speed. It's kind of weird, and there's not a lot of like, well, there's a couple of different precedents for it, but it works differently than, just standard Wi-Fi or just like a Bluetooth file transfer. So if you guys want an interesting read, go ahead and take a look at how the AirDrop protocol works, because it is weird, and apparently it was actually exploited yesterday. Or an exploit was patched for it yesterday.
Okay, I'm going to show my screen real quick. So this is in relation to a question about using Tor over VPN or VPN over Tor. I don't have a super ton of knowledge about that, but usually the thing I always point people to is this Nullbyte article, how to fully anonymize Tor with, or a Kali with Tor, Unix, and VPN. You don't have to use Jaspia, you could use any VPN. So yeah, go there, read that article. That'll tell you everything you could want to know about that subject.
Also, there was a question. In my country, 98% of people use outdated routers. Can you attack that? Yes. Most
Always.
old routers have very, very terrible flaws. For example, like the Reaver attack is an attack where basically if you have the WPS setup pin on and it doesn't do rate limiting, it doesn't prevent you from just like guessing as many passwords as you want, then you can gain access to any router that has this vulnerability within like 7 hours.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time, provided you have proximity to it. So if you have the circumstance of an old router, there's so many vulnerabilities that exist now that are available to try to exploit that one of them is probably going to be there.
And along those same lines, those people also likely haven't changed the default credentials. So once you do access the router, you have like full admin privileges, which is something that's should be very concerning to those individuals.
Do we have any more questions from the YouTube channel? I don't want to leave out any good ones. Oh my god, that's so small.
Yeah, I need. I was not prepared.
Oh, it's from Victor.
Yeah. Can you read it or?
Can you guys shout out a Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah. So Yeah, Cards Against Humanity live stream. Sorry. Yeah. So the reason I put this one in here is doesn't Varonis have the
Cards Against IT?
Cards Against IT? I think we can get our hands on that and do that for a live stream. That would be
Sure. I've never played it, so I don't know what
You've
it's
never
about.
played Cards Against Humanity?
I've never even played. Yeah, I've never played Cards Against Humanity. I've certainly never played Cards Against IT. So I don't. Sure, I don't know. I have no idea if that's
It's
appropriate.
just like
or
a
not.
meme lord thing. Like
Sounds spicy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's just put it that way. Next question that we likely. I would like to know whether our
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so Michael like sets us up, and then like we have a monitor so we can see like the chat and stuff in front of us. But every time we have a new comment, it's so small,
Yeah.
we can't like see what's on it.
Well, I
so
had
we always have to like lean forward. Like this is like actually impossible to read.
Yeah, no. You just continue answering other
Yeah, yeah,
questions,
yeah.
and I will get them pulled up on my laptop.
Yeah, I'm just gonna answer. What about router post exploit? So once you once you get into a Wi-Fi network, then we start looking at tools that actually exploit the router. And Routersploit is an obvious
Yeah.
choice that allows you to scan not just routers, but also like IoT devices and things like that on the network to see if they're vulnerable for you to just like break in. So what I've seen done before is like once you get into the router, then you scan it, look for vulnerabilities, escalate your privileges so that you're in control of the router, and then if you want, you can load custom firmware and basically completely take control of it. So this is called, oh my gosh, I'm totally blocking on what the name of it is. Like it's like war routing or something like that, where like you drive around and you compromise routers and you war kidding or some whatever. But basically, you drive around, you compromise routers, and you drop custom firmware on them. And that custom firmware makes those routers your slave, and then they become a network of like VPN endpoints that you control. So you basically
crazy.
upgrade people's routers for them with software that makes you the administrator remotely, and then you can just start routing traffic and doing whatever you want. And these people, I think, were operating like Seattle, and then they got busted because they were running stolen credit cards through all these private people's routers that they had just connected.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the interesting things about that is that a lot of VPNs will actually have IP addresses that are designated like server addresses. So that can cause problems on certain websites and stuff. It's easily flagged. But in that sort of situation, you would have what appear to be all residential IP addresses, which can be a lot stealthier. But I am now set up to...
You guys, I'm sorry, you guys are punking me with StarCraft. I only play StarCraft 2 against the computer when I'm depressed. But if you want to watch me do that, I will... I
will make this happen. I will make Kody live stream for 3 hours StarCraft.
I used to work for a Korean startup, and like I very quickly learned as soon as I expressed my interest in StarCraft to them that there was no point in playing it against any Korean person.
Yeah.
I lost hope very early on, so I only play against the computer. But if you guys want me to do a Twitch stream of that, then sure.
Okay,
sure.
I'm now prepared to show read the comments.
All right.
So I would like to know whether Armitage still works. It looks cool,
Armitage.
but I still understand it uses a version of Java from about a few years ago, which is hard to get my hands on.
Why is my comment being filtered? It's because you're using all caps, bro. But okay, Armitage is a program that has an anime character as their icon and has for literally since I learned hack. So this has been around for quite some time. So yeah, I don't know if it currently still works. I don't know how well maintained it is. All I know is that it is ancient in terms of hacking terms. Like it, and it's like I don't like to use the term script kiddie except often, but it's kind of like a script kiddie program that if you don't know much about Wi-Fi hacking, you can just mash the buttons and like it'll try to hack something. Like whether or not that's your target, yourself, or legal is completely up in the air. But you don't really need to know much about hacking to use Armitage. So I mean, the flip side of that is like, who knows if it still works? So
okay, onward. Which VPN should I download?
Oh, I like Bulvad. But, I don't
Okay.
really... I used to use Pia, but they stopped giving me a free VPN, so now I don't. And also, they were acquired by kind of a sketchy company, so
Yeah.
I like Mullvad more. They also just gave... Mullvad was nice enough to support the workshop I did with a bunch of journalists to, show them all the stuff that they could hide with a VPN, and that was really fun and cool. So I like Mullvad. I think they're nice.
Yeah, and to be clear though, you shouldn't be using VPNs that are free because they are
Please
just
don't.
stealing your data. He just got a special deal because privilege.
Well, no, I just emailed them like, hey, the journalists need VPNs because freedom.
Okay.
So there's one question, Kody, what's your daily routine?
Sleep.
Or routing. But I assume that means routine. Well, I wake up and then I have crippling anxiety over the state of the world. Then I walk into the garage and look at my 3D printer, and if there's spaghetti in it, shout. At that point, I avoid Michael for an hour, feed birds, and then
More like 3 hours.
Then we start whiteboarding concepts for the live stream, as well as TikTok videos. We film something like this, and then we go ahead and avoid work for another hour until it's late at night, at which point I harass Michael until he's forced to work
And I get
with
very
me.
upset at him for not doing the work during the day and interrupting my beautiful evening relaxing time.
Right. And then after I basically push Michael to the absolute breaking point, as soon as one of us throws something at the other person, we break for the night and reset for the day.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, can I make my phone on monitor? Basically, you put your phone in monitor mode for Wi-Fi hacking? I think on certain models, but it really depends on the Wi-Fi chip.
No, not really. So the answer is not really.
Yeah.
If you root it and stuff, then you can, but otherwise you
I
can't.
think-
There are some ways of getting around this. Like you can plug in a Wi-Fi adapter to a phone, and on some phones there.
That's a huge power draw, though.
Yeah, it is. It allows you to, for example, capture packets on it and stuff, but you can't really control it that much, and it's not a very good interface. Also, to the guy shouting in all caps that your comment is being filtered, I can see it. It's just annoying.
Okay. I'm thinking though of the Nexus phones. I think the Kali Net Hunter. I think those are capable. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it is possible. But your phone probably not.
We will find out as soon as we complete the transaction with Zam, who has agreed to generously donate a Kali Net Hunter capable device.
Okay. Can we add a new website to? Okay, can we add a new website to sites folder by copying the source of a website and then convert the website to a phishing page? So basically,
oh, this is a ghetto way of creating a phishing.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to say that. I use this, and I consider this to be a very, very sketchy trick. You can just right mouse click on a website, save the source, and then basically create in a single line a Python HTTP server, and then just serve up the website.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to do things. It also doesn't create HTTPS. So this is not in terms of a phishing page, you're going to get the warning that says insecure. But
Yeah.
if you're doing this against a router login page, no
Yeah,
one's going
yeah.
to notice. So again, this is not best practices.
Not
at all.
pro-level skills.
This will not trick most people. Even people with basic tech skills will see the big warning button and be like, what's that? That wasn't there before. But in terms of, just a sketchy way of stringing stuff together, yes, you can absolutely do that, and I do it all the time. No, do not quote me on that. I have been explicitly told to stop describing my own code that way, even though that is how I see my own code, because I am from Glassell Park.
Okay. I'm looking at the other questions. Oh, I got one here.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna skip a couple here. Okay, so basically, dude was involved in a breach and is really scared. What would you recommend people doing after they discover they were in a breach?
If you are in a breach, you need to use the password manager. Password managers frequently have the ability to interface with things like have I been pwned, and they frequently will also obtain hash password list and see if any of your passwords match. So what that's good to know is if you have a big red warning next to several of your passwords that you have in your password manager, it's probably an indication that you need to change it, and there's not a lot of other ways except for putting your password into a form or something to do that. Now, you have to be comfortable with this and enable it manually because it is submitting a hashed version of your passwords or comparing it to a list. So, I mean, I think it actually compares it, it doesn't take it offsite or whatever. There are some precautions to make it less sketchy than just sending every one of your passwords off, even in a hashed fashion. But what I like about it is if I have a password that has been used in multiple other places, or it's old, or I've forgotten that I've used it in another place, I instantly know if it's been breached. So that's why password managers are essential, and I think that they're the best way to recover from something like a breach, because you can then get on monitoring it as well to make sure it doesn't happen again, and you can check to see if you've reused that password anywhere, which I am guilty of doing without noticing, and then suddenly I get a notification, hey, this is used in another critical account, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So what terminal do you use?
On a Mac OS, I use iTerm 2.
Okay. And then that's all of those questions.
We have one shouty question.
One
What do you
shouty
think about picking a URL for phishing attack? Does perfect domain matter? No. So if you are, and also sorry about your caps lock key. If you are trying to do a phishing attack, I've seen some really stupid stuff work. And also people frequently, especially if they're like working, will get some like mangled subdomain of a service like when they're clicking on a link, and that's not that unusual nowadays to be told like, hey, you want to track your like UPS package? You click on it and it goes through some weird subdomain of like a contractor that actually does work with them. So if you're building a phishing domain, or if you're doing this for hopefully for an authorized red team event, then it really doesn't matter that much, provided it looks plausible and it doesn't look too out of place. I mean, if it's like .xyz, yeah, someone's going to think that that's suspicious. But provided it's a somewhat similar .com or a subdomain, or it has, even I've seen like people use the name of the company some random subdomain that looks plausible. Like people don't understand like which way that goes sometimes. So you can have like, the real website that would just be, something dot whatever, and then another one that's reversed, and people can't tell the difference or tell which one is legitimate. So there's lots of tricks that take advantage of people's lack of knowledge about how domains work. So it doesn't need to be perfect.
Okay, and can we talk about the future of the live stream? So basically, for right now, it's just going to mostly stay this way, right? In the foreseeable future, we might start doing a third live stream on... So basically, the Wednesdays that we're currently not doing a live stream, we might start doing something then, but for the most part, it's going to stay the same. Do you have any other things?
No, I was just going to answer the any good password managers, which is I use 1Password. I like them.
Yeah.
They have a lot of great services.
Are they the one that does the free thing for press?
Yes. So I managed to get it because I technically am press. If you are press too, if you are a writer with any sort of press outfit or do any sort of press or media, then you can reach out to them, and they do offer free licenses for members of the press, which I think is really cool of them.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking for other... I'm going to go...
Oh, no, there's lots of great questions. So one was, what age did we start doing this? Did you go to college, self-study, or certs? And what's the best way to learn all of this? I've been obsessed with Wi-Fi stuff for years, and that was how I got into it. People constantly would tell me that I should find a way to make money with that, and I couldn't quite figure it out until I found Nullbyte and realized I could basically educate other people about it. So for me, it was just being able to pursue something I was super interested in and eventually get paid for it. If you can do that, then it certainly makes the work a lot easier.
Yes, I remember Captain Dr. Mr. Null, and we need to return this to being.
Oh yeah, we had to, when we did our first and only Nullbyte live stream, it was so crazy that we had to do a Simon Says and basically get people to follow rules in order to get their questions answered, because we were getting so many crazy nonsense
That was
questions.
just me going mad with power mostly, though.
It was great.
But yeah, so there might be a Nullbyte live stream sometime in the future, but no promises. Can we talk about what happened to Nullbyte?
Nope, we sure can't.
So
contractually.
Yes.
So we can't say that right now we're not making any new Nullbyte videos. All the Nullbyte videos are ones that we've produced. We've just done so many.
They're just
there's a huge
stockpiled.
backlog. So after the new year, you will hear some new announcements about Nullbyte. But until then, unless there's a huge amount of demand, we're probably going to wait until the new year before we do anything else. But I would love to do another live stream. I thought it was super fun. And yes, I am the same person from Nullbyte. And this is our team. So we are the ones who are responsible for the Hack5 videos, for the Nullbyte channel, for the Verona stuff. Our team is called Radio. We've been doing this for several years now, and we created our team in order to grow from the Nullbyte channel into doing all sorts of fun stuff. So, and that involves terrible TikToks and a bunch of other stuff that we do just experimentally that haven't caught on yet. But yeah, so we work on all kinds of stuff, and it's not just Nullbyte, it's not just SecurityFWD. We have lots of different stuff that we do, and we're just thankful to have someone like Varonis who gives us the ability to pursue this stuff full time and the resources to do a really good, high quality job of it. And also, our team at Varonis is absolutely awesome. I've never worked with nicer or more capable people, so we really enjoy our home here at Varonis because it lets us do this stuff in a way that we've never been able to like relax and like really do a great job of before. So
yeah, you were joking about people asking if you owned Varonis. People on the Nullbyte channel were asking if No Blink Guy or Nick owned the channel. To which I had to sadly respond that neither of them owned the channel.
Yeah.
It's owned by Wonder How 2.
Yes.
Which got a lot of people very confused. Okay, what else did we have here? You already answered. You are the guy. This is No Blink from Nullbyte, also known as Kody.
My name is Null. You are
yes, Mr. Null.
Some of the comments I got last night were just like, "Hello, long time bite here," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, that joke, right? Got it." Yeah. Also from Victor, TikTok, not my thing. Yeah, I hated TikTok too until I saw how difficult it is to make content for it. If you look at hacking content on TikTok, there's a couple people making stuff, but it also kind of, let's call it undiscovered country. But I think that the challenge here is if you can make something that's like funny, engaging, and cool, and gets other people who wouldn't otherwise consider security to take a look at it and feel like maybe it is important to learn. That's the kind of content that's hard for us to make now, but we're going to make a lot of really terrible stuff in the pursuit of being good at it later.
Yeah, Kody basically forced me to download TikTok the other day, and then I wasted 2 hours of my life. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying download TikTok. That
it is like the definition of addiction.
Yeah. Also, we used to do a podcast, but people stopped driving for some reason to work.
Yeah.
So we have currently stopped doing the podcast, and now we do this instead. But yeah, we did it for a while. If you want to check it out, it's the Security Tools podcast, and it was really cool. We had a lot of really excellent guests, including someone from Canary Tokens. We had Patrick Wardle. We had the guy from Do Not Pay, and it was just great. Like, we had a lot of really great guests. But I find this is more fun and relaxed.
Yeah,
and honestly, like, nobody's driving anymore.
This is what became of the podcast. Essentially, we had the podcast before the live stream, and that over time, partially and mostly due to COVID, morphed into the live stream.
Also, because Yosef has correctly addressed me, I'll say that once you get a laptop, some things you can do to make it safer. I always make sure that I have some sort of thing like the equivalent of like Little Snitch or like some sort of like firewall program to let me know when something is connecting out. I would like to know that when a program is phoning out and what it's doing. So one of the first things I always do is make sure I actually use Patrick Wardle's tools now instead of Little Snitch, but I'll typically install like Lulu or some other like free open source tool to be able to inspect traffic coming off of my computer, because like that's one of the first signs of infection with malware, it calling home to a CT2 server, and it allows you to very easily inspect certificates to see like is this thing signed? You can submit it to VirusTotal to see like if it comes up as known as a particular piece of malware, and I find that to be one of the best ways to know if something's going on. I also have ransomware installed, which is another Patrick Wardle tool where anytime something begins rapidly encrypting files, it warns me and allows me to terminate the process. Now, usually that's just like Adobe, like doing some like sketchy stuff.
Adobe doing Adobe stuff.
Yeah, Adobe doing Adobe stuff, like running installers and stuff like that. But if it were some random program that started to, encrypt a bunch of stuff on my computer, I've actually deliberately triggered this before just to show off how you can detect ransomware in action, and it does work. As soon as you encrypt a certain number of files, it's like, whoa, these files are now encrypted, like there's a high amount of entropy. Do you want to allow this to continue? And if you select no, it'll terminate the process.
So what's our TikTok username?
Hackbyte.
And how do you spell that?
HACKBYTE. Exactly as you'd expect.
Yeah. I was trying to pull that up on TikTok, but I couldn't do it without logging
Hackbyte
in.
is a completely independent project. It has nothing to do with this
particular. It's not affiliated with Varonis in any way.
Yes, it is just Redia. So anything offensive we say on that TikTok channel is purely us.
Yes. What's your everyday carry?
Well, Sure. So for me, I really like to have a like a Wi-Fi deauthor in like an easy-to-use USB form, so that I can do scanning and identify like devices. For me, like my MacBook Pro doesn't support certain things, so the Wi-Fi deauthor like provides me with the ability to do scanning, intelligence, and also if I need to kick someone off a network, I can do that too. So combined with my computer combined with a Wi-Fi deauthor, I can do most of the stuff I want to do over Wi-Fi, and it means that I don't need to work with a wireless network adapter that's more expensive and less replaceable.
Is hack.gay linking to our TikTok?
Yeah, I had a
Okay,
link.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so if you go to hack.gay, then you'll see our link tree with the
TikTok. Yeah.
hack bite.
Yeah. It's not good, you guys. I need to be explicit with that. We're not good at TikTok yet.
We're learning.
We're learning quickly. But yeah, no, it's all the stuff we've done is terrible so far. But in the future, it will be better. So if you are on TikTok, feel free to give us some advice, because we're looking for great hacking channels. In fact, like one dude who has like 500,000 likes or stars or gold stars or whatever contacted me and actually does some pretty good like hacking content on TikTok. But if you've seen some good stuff that we can learn from, then we're always looking for great stuff.
I'm not going to play the sound, but just look at this fabulous, glittery Kody here showing awesome stuff.
Yeah, look at that glam. That's beautiful, you guys.
It's great.
Yeah. I think we're coming up on our time. So if you have a good question, fire it off now, because soon we're going to be doing our outro, and we won't have any more time for the next 2 weeks.
What do you think of the deauthor watches? Are they practical or just silly?
Hand me that one right there.
Oh, yeah. You mean this one right here?
You mean this one right here? So yeah, the deauthor watches are awesome. The only thing I don't like is the rocker on the side. I've had to repair before. It's a little fragile. But aside from that, these deauthor watches are super, super cool. I mean, if I was going to say between the new Andromeda that Stefan made or this, I would still say the Andromeda, because V3 is coming up with all sorts of awesome updates. But for a layperson that's not interested in staying like up to date with all the bleeding edge stuff, if you just want something that like you press a button on your watch and it takes out a Wi-Fi network, this is it. And also, this is, I think, that dude I was talking about, like one of his top performing videos ever is just covering this watch on TikTok, which is funny to me.
So do you have a good 3D model for the ESP8266?
No, I don't. And I have a 3D printer, so I should probably do that.
So make an enclosure, put it on Thingiverse, and then give it to Zam.
Yeah. And speaking of Zam, he's asking, what's the topic for Friday's stream?
Friday's stream is the one with Stefan.
Fox Hunter. So we have a very special guest. We're having Stefan on the stream.
We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. So he's going to be talking about his new project, the Andromeda deauthor, and his new code that allows you to do signal hunting. So if you did look at our awful TikToks, then you probably saw the one where I demonstrated how signal hunting works. And we're going to be doing an entire stream on that, explaining how you can track down the source of a signal now with either a directional Andromeda deauthor, or if you just happen to have a D1 Mini lying around, which this is, or a Node MCU, because that's what I have right here, then you can also follow along by literally just putting this on a longer cable and moving it around, because the sensitivity is high enough that you can use it to find roughly where the source of something is. Although using a directional antenna is much more elegant, because you can stand in the same place and just rotate it until you see the signal spike and you're like, it's right there.
Yeah, and we'll have that updated on the YouTube event as soon as someone gives me a title and description for that video. And there's a person asking about Evil Limiter. So Kody and I independently did articles on that year, or like 2 years ago, and that is actually going to be next week's video at some point. We're going to do a video on that, so stay tuned for that. It is a nifty little thing that has some utility.
What are your thoughts on TikTok's data policy? It's horrendous. It's spying on you all the time. It's worse than Facebook. That being said, if you want to see people that are doing bleeding edge stuff, it's where content trickles down from nowadays, and its algorithm is so scary good that it locks onto you and starts delivering streams of content of exactly the stuff you're interested in. So I would say it's a perfect example of an evil algorithm that's spying on you and reporting all of its data back to its masters. So definitely be careful, and I would say pick some random subgroup you don't actually associate with and like the absolute crap out of their videos. Every time they come up, make sure to like it. It makes you think that you're part of some random minority group and starts sending you a bunch of content from it. But more importantly, it prevents your masters from abroad from figuring out exactly who you are. So when they start sending you like election misinformation, it'll be a little weird.
Meanwhile, I just have a constant feed of D&D memes.
Yeah, as I said, it locks onto you instantly and starts serving you exactly your wildest desires.
And then also some coding stuff.
Oh, so one question is, did anybody try to hack your website? They can't hack your website if you don't have one.
Oh, I mean, we do have Hacker Interchange.
No, we don't. What we actually have is just hack.gay, which is a Linktree website. Yeah. So if you want to try to hack Linktree, sure. Go for it.
Okay, so there was one here. Oh, yeah,
a couple of people asked about
Zombie
Network Chuck. I haven't talked to him directly, but I've seen his content and he's great. So I would definitely be up for that sometime.
Can you explain what a zombie computer is and what it's used for?
So that's a compromised computer that's connected to a C2 or a command and control server that a attacker can send commands to remotely and cause it to do a thing. Now, when when those are all connected to one server, you can have like thousands, hundreds of thousands of computers all connected back and listening for instructions, and you can make all of them do things at the same time. So that allows you to do things like distributed denial of service attacks, or just attacks where a ton of traffic is all being directed at a single source.
Do you like using Metasploit or manually exploiting?
Metasploit. I don't like manually doing anything if there's already something written for it. And yes, the chicken himself is coming on.
Zam, you must like, comment, and subscribe, and then click the notification bell.
Oh, yeah. So also, if anybody hasn't signed up already, if you want to know all the great stuff we're doing, we have a new website. You can access it either at the link I've put together, which is hackingwithfriends.com, or
info.varonis.com/securityforward.
Spelled SecurityFWD. I like my link better, but Michael's insistent that his is...
I don't think you actually need the info.varonis at the beginning. I think varonis.com/securityforward.
Or hackingwithfriends.com. So, let's see. Are there any other questions? I think that we're just about out of time.
Yeah, we're basically out of time. We're over time, actually.
I just wanted to say, since the pandemic started, it has been rough for me personally because I no longer get to go to hacker spaces and have great conversations with random people there. I don't really get as much like face-to-face contact with the kind of people I really enjoy talking to and enjoy, just hearing like what's going on and what great stuff is coming out. This live stream is a really wonderful opportunity to get some of that back. And I appreciate the fact that you people are all contributing, helping each other out, and also like teaching me stuff. Like I had no idea that the airdrop function of iPhones had recently been compromised, even though that's like exactly the kind of stuff I'm interested in. I'm just too busy. So the fact we all get to get together, exchange information, like talk about the stuff we care about, and also help each other out, I really like this. And I think that this live stream has taken off in a great direction because of the community that's developed around it. So yeah, I really, really enjoy this part of my job. I enjoy all of you, and I appreciate all the feedback and all the energy you put into it. So thank you for that. We both really, really like doing the stream because of all of you. So this live stream, while slightly stressful because of the number of things that can go wrong, is still the highlight of our week when we do it. So thank you guys for making it so.
Yep. We heart our viewers. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that notification bell.
Slam that notification bell hard as you can.
Hack that notification bell.
Velocity matters. All right, guys, that's going to be our stream for today. As always, a big shout out to Varonis for making this possible. If you like this content, also check out the Varonis brand account because they have our sometimes host Killian, who's also doing the Great Threat Update series. So if you're interested in all the stuff that's actually hitting big companies in the world, what they're doing to fight back against it, then it's a great way of getting a little peek into what the really big players are dealing with on a giant scale. So really cool stuff, and I'm sure we'll have Killian back on the show at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna wrangle him.
You guys have accepted him as one of your own, which he's very excited about. And thank you guys. We will see you not next week, but the week after for the next live stream. And in between then, we'll have the stream tomorrow, which is going to be focusing on Wi-Fi signal hunting. So if you have that neighbor who's, borrowing your internet connection, but you're not sure what direction they're in, this is the stream for you.
If you want to know when our live streams are, I try to keep about 3 scheduled out on the YouTube channel itself. But if you go to hackingwithfriends.com, there's a calendar link in that top paragraph, and you can see in infinitum when our live streams are. So
awesome. All right, you guys, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.